Okay, what we have here is a Honda 400F SUPERSPORT. Came in yellow, red and a blue for this particular market. They were primarily the colours they were released in, red and blue being quite popular. So it's a 1975. So what we're doing today is, I'll just zoom down in here, we're doing an oil change. So if we have a look up underneath here, it's the side of the motor. Only one hand here. It's not on a tripod because a tripod's absolutely useless for getting into small recessed areas. So there you have it. That bolt there, where you can see my index finger pointing to it. That one there. I've already drained the oil, but you undo that and make sure you start the bike up. Make sure the oil is nice and hot. The reason we do that is because the oil suspends, if you like. It keeps particles, dirt in suspension, and whilst they're in suspension, you open that drain plug there and drain it all out, and that way you're sure to be rinsing out or expunging most of those contaminants that you do not want to remain in the engine. Okay, so I'll just move back from there. That way it lets you approximate, or let you know the location of that drain plug as I zoom out. There we have it. And then we come over to here. Now that there, the front of the motor, I'll just point to it. That there is your oil filter housing, and it is retained by an 11mm bolt, if you like. Now this here, that washer is incorporated in the 11mm bolt fastener. It's all one piece. So you'll start to see it move around that lip there. And of course, those that don't know, we use an anti-clockwise rotation, applying force to that fastener in an anti-clockwise direction to release this housing from the crankcase to which it is attached. So in here we have, as can be seen, a depth of field problem as usual. They're not that smart, these smartphones. We apply the 11mm to it there, and we slowly undo that. But before we undo that, what I like to do, because we really don't know how long that's been on there for, so it's always good just to give that a slight rap. And what those shock waves do is it sends the shock down to the threads, and it dislodges any corrosion that may have occurred between those threads. Again, all relative to how long it's been since someone was in there last. We proceed to undo that. Okay, so what we have here is a container, and of course that's placed up underneath there to catch any oil. In this case, that's the amount of oil that it's caught from releasing that oil filter assembly that I pointed out earlier on. Now, just quickly here, around there, you can see an oil O-ring. That must be replaced. And there's also another one in here, in and around that bolt there. That there is your old filter element. That's what we're replacing. And over here is the new one. Now this particular filter element, oil filter element, is the same for a Honda CB350, a Honda 400F, which is the bike that we're now doing the oil change on. And it's also the same for a CB750, CB500. They're all the same. No doubt they fit other makes and models. It's very wise of Honda to have kept that as a universal fit across that model range. Now, before we move on, before we remove that filter, just pay particular attention to in here. Get rid of that reflection. There we go. Down in there, that black thing there that the screwdriver tip is touching, that's a seal, oil seal, to prevent oil going up along that bolt shaft and out the top end. There's that oil ring that we pointed out earlier. So those two, no doubt, will be replaced. And in here, you have new rubber seals. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so we've removed the filter element from its plastic packaging. What we have is, in this kit, we have that one there that I pointed out earlier on. It comes already in situ with the new oil filter. There he is there. That's that one there. Then you have that oil ring around the oil filter body assembly, which is that one there. I'm touching it with the screwdriver tip. We also have another smaller O-ring just here. So you have all these new seals, and just be mindful of how that goes back in. Okay, so as it sits there, that should be exposed. That should be the top once it's inserted into the oil filter body. You can see it there. Okay, so that goes on top, just to give you a directional sense. All right, now once we remove the oil seal, so that's over here. I'll just stand by it. And you got to hold this phone. So that's the old oil seal there that came out of that resets around there. Okay, now what you're going to find is you're going to have grime build up. Now, just get the end of a rag and just fold it up. Just put it in that seam like that, and just keep pushing it around. Most important that that little recess there that the oil O-ring fits into is clean. Okay, so clean that up before you put the new one in. Otherwise, that dirt and debris there may prevent the oil ring from sealing. You may have a small leak from the oil filter housing down onto the ground. Okay, Now when you put that oil filter on, have a look down in there. See those fins, how close they come to the crankcase. Okay, now have a look underneath there. You might just see it. Okay, we can see it there. So, see that? It's got a step. Well, that step goes to the bottom. Okay? And the fins that sit flush go to the top. That's how you put that back on. Fins that go all the way to the cases go to the top, and the ones down below where you can see that step, it's like a little step, a right angle that goes to the bottom on the oil filter assembly. Once we've put the drain plug back on, which we have, and once we've changed the oil filter and put new O-ring seals in the oil filter assembly and reconnected that to the bike, refitted it to the bike, which we have, we then come over here, and on there you can see your oil type on the dipstick. Use SAE 10W40. So that's your oil type. I don't know how worn your engine is, but whilst it's still within its reasonable wear limits, you use that oil specified there. You fill that up to the upper level with new oil. There you have it. It's not a bad little bike, this one. It's still got the original OEM caution stickers that it had from the factory, off the showroom floor to the consumer. So all in all, it's quite well kept. It's got a set of Honda Hawk alloy wheels on it. We have the spoke wheels set aside. Yeah, the Honda, I kind of like the Honda Hawk alloy wheels. It's a long story as to why they were attached. But, it is what it is. And there you have it. Happy Honda CB400F motorcycling. And all the best to the fans of the 404 out there. See ya.